My son looked me in the eye and said, "Just die, I don't give a shit." And you know what's worse? He said it like I was the one who ruined his life. Like everything I gave him, all the nights I went hungry so he could eat, never happened. This isn't a revenge story, not the loud kind anyway, but it's about what happens when a mother walks away and doesn't look back. When my husband passed, it was just me and Jace. He was 15. I worked part-time as a school secretary and took a second job on weekends answering phones for a plumbing service. I didn't complain. I figured I had one job in this life, raise my son right. By the time he hit his 20s, he moved back in to figure things out. I said yes before he even finished the sentence. I cooked, cleaned, paid the rent, and added him to my old credit card as an authorized user. Not because I was careless, but because I believed in him. He said he was building something, a coaching business. Helping people raise their frequency, he called it. I didn't get it, but he sounded passionate. I didn't ask for much, just that he try. Clean up after himself, maybe help with groceries once in a while. Instead, he slept all day and posted selfies at night. I'd peek into his room, the curtains always drawn, ring light always on, him whispering affirmations into his mic like a preacher in a dark church. I brought him tea once during a live stream. He muted me and later told his followers I was energy clutter. That hurt more than I let on, but I laughed it off and said, "He's just young." He'd call me old school when I asked about taxes and broke mindset when I reminded him rent was due. But I kept believing, because that's what mothers do. We hold on even when we shouldn't. I gave and gave, thinking maybe if I stayed kind long enough, he'd remember who raised him. But kindness doesn't mean anything to someone who sees it as weakness. And one night, when I asked him where the $400 charge on my card came from, he didn't even flinch. He just smiled. And what he said next? That was the day everything changed. The night he said it, I wasn't even angry. Not yet. I was tired. The kind of tired you don't sleep off. I'd just come home from work and the electricity bill was sitting on the counter unopened. I asked Jace calmly if he'd seen the $400 charge on the credit card, the one tied to my name. He didn't look up from his phone. "Oh, that. Yes," he said. "It's for my content strategy course. It's an investment." I waited for an apology, a thank you, a promise to pay it back, something. Instead, he stood up, barefoot, hoodie half-zipped like he was too cool for the moment, and said, "You're holding me back. You're draining me. Honestly, just die. I don't give a shit." And he meant it. I remember freezing, not because I didn't believe he'd say it, but because he said it so casually, like I wasn't even a person, just some obstacle in his perfectly curated online life. He turned away before I could respond, went back to his live stream, told his followers he had finally cut off toxic energy and was now entering his abundance phase. That's when it hit me. He really believed it. He believed every word that fake mentor fed him online, that parents were parasites, that love was manipulation, that sacrifice was weakness. He locked me out of the Wi-Fi, changed the door code, blocked my number. The boy I raised, Aniyam, the boy I once held through the night when he had asthma, looked me in the face and erased me like I was nothing, and I didn't fight. I walked into my room, grabbed my purse, and quietly did something I hadn't done in years. I chose me. While he blasted affirmations about cutting off the past, I logged into the bank, transferred the $12,000 savings I'd built under both our names, and closed the joint account. I changed my emergency contacts, froze the credit cards, took screenshots of every transaction he made under my name, and then I walked out. Quick moment. Friends watching. Have you ever had someone you loved treat your sacrifices like they were worthless? If you've been there, even just once, share a word below that describes what that moment felt like. One word. Let's see how many of us have felt invisible. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't even pack a bag. Because when someone tells you to die, you stop trying to stay alive in their story. For the first few days, it was like I'd vanished. No texts, No calls, not even a, "Where are you?" from the boy I used to carry on my back when he was too tired to walk. And maybe that was the most painful part. Not the rejection, but how easy it was for him to move on without me. He didn't just block me, he replaced me. On Instagram, he posted stories from the same kitchen I used to cook in, sipping coffee from a mug that said CEO Energy. He captioned it, "Cut off the dead weight, elevate your frequency." I was the dead weight. He started hosting live coaching sessions, charging strangers to unlock their inner abundance, using phrases I once said to him in love, twisted into slogans for likes. I watched one out of morbid curiosity. He smiled into the ring light, said, "You don't owe your parents anything. Energy is not blood. Loyalty is earned." It hit like a slap. Not because it was false, but because it came from the mouth of the same boy I stayed up all night nursing through fevers. The same one I skipped meals for so he could eat. And now, I was just a mistake he overcame. I stayed on a friend's couch those first few weeks, quiet, floating. She tried to talk to me, but I couldn't find the words. It's hard to describe the feeling of being deleted from someone's life, especially when you built that life. But I didn't reach out. I didn't beg, because I knew what he would say. You chose to leave. And I did. I chose it the moment I realized he didn't see me as a mother anymore, just as a limit to outgrow. Funny thing is, I still checked on him. Quietly. I'd scroll past his videos, see the polished smiles, the fake confidence, the boss babe girlfriend now filming content in the bedroom I once folded his laundry in. But no one saw what I saw. The cracks behind the filters, the desperation behind the grind, and as much as it hurt. There was a strange peace in the silence, because sometimes the deepest pain isn't being hated. It's being forgotten by someone who once called you mom. It didn't all collapse at once. It never does. At first it was subtle. His live viewers dropped, comments slowed. His girlfriend, Talia, started posting solo selfies again. Captions like, "Boss Butch mode" with no tag, no mention of him. I knew what that meant. But the real unraveling started the morning he wired nearly $6,800 in crypto to a mentor who promised him a private partnership and access to legacy wealth systems. No contract, no receipt, just a DM that said, "Transfer before 9 a.m. to secure your spot." He did it like he was buying destiny. I found out about it from the bank. Even though I'd shut down our joint account, the fraud team flagged his attempt to use an old autofill from my laptop. They caught it before the transaction cleared, thank God. But it didn't stop him. He found loan apps with 30% interest and wired the money anyway. Desperation isn't quiet. It screams through every decision. And when 9 a.m. came, nothing happened. 10 a.m. Still nothing. The Discord server vanished. Instagram accounts wiped. Mentor gone. Jace paced the apartment in a bathrobe like a man waiting for a miracle that had no intention of arriving. Talia asked, "Did you at least get a receipt?" He answered, "They don't do receipts. It's more secure that way." She just stared, then said the words that finally pierced the illusion. "You got scammed, didn't you?" He didn't respond, not because he was too proud, but because admitting it meant everything he'd built was fake. All of it, the coaching, the content, the quotes, the followers, smoke and mirrors. That night, I got a message from a neighbor still living in the building. She said she heard shouting, something about rent, lies, and missing money. I didn't reply. I just stared at the screen. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel anger. I didn't even feel hurt. I felt still. Because the boy who once told me to die was now living through the exact fall I warned him about. And I wasn't going to catch him, not this time. Because this time, he needed to feel the ground. I didn't return to my old life, because that life was built around someone who didn't see me. Instead, I started something new. Small, quiet, mine. I got a part-time job at a local HR office. Nothing fancy, just filing, helping onboard new hires, organizing little office events. But for the first time in years, I had a desk with my name on it, a calendar I controlled, lunch breaks where no one rolled their eyes when I spoke. My coworkers didn't know my story. They just knew I brought good coffee and remembered birthdays. One even called me a grounding presence. That almost made me cry in the supply closet. I rented a small one-bedroom apartment near the river. Clean, light-filled, no drama, just me, my plants, and a shelf of old cookbooks I used to hide behind when life got heavy. Some nights I'd scroll through Jace's pages. Most of them were gone now. No more live videos, no more flashy quotes, just a few broken links and a profile photo that hadn't changed in weeks. Talia was gone too. There was no grand fall from grace, no announcement, just silence. The kind that settles in when the applause dies and no one's left to clap. Meanwhile, I was moving forward. One afternoon, the office threw a little welcome back party. Nothing big, just a cake with pink frosting that read, "You're back, we missed you." Someone snapped a picture. I smiled, not for show, not for a feed, but because it was real. And for the first time in years, I looked at a photo of myself and didn't feel invisible. Funny how life works. The moment you stop begging to be seen by the wrong people, the right ones show up without you asking. And no, this wasn't some dramatic comeback. This wasn't revenge. It was repair. Quiet. Earned. The kind of healing that doesn't need to post itself online. And if you're watching this and thinking, is it too late for me to start over? It's not. You don't have to scream to be powerful. You don't need applause to be whole. Sometimes the best victory is peace. He showed up on a Wednesday. I knew it was him the moment I heard the knock, soft, unsure, like someone who didn't quite believe they had the right to be there. I didn't move, just listened. 2 knocks, then silence. I watched from behind the curtain, hoodie pulled low, arms crossed over his chest like armor he forgot how to wear. The same boy who once called me energy clutter was now sitting on the front step of my new apartment like a kid who'd lost his backpack. He didn't look angry. He looked empty, hollow in the way people do when the lies finally run out. I left the light on. That was all. He stayed, all night, curled up in the cold, head against the door frame, like maybe I'd open it if he just made himself small enough. The next morning, I opened the door, slowly. Not with open arms, but with quiet rules. He looked up like he wasn't sure if I was real. I handed him a glass of water and a manila folder. Inside was a list of job openings, a free clinic info sheet, and the number to a local debt counselor. Nothing more, no hugs, no warm breakfast. "If you're staying," I said, "you'll work, you'll clean, you'll show up." He nodded, didn't argue, didn't ask for forgiveness. Maybe because he knew forgiveness wasn't the point. He slept in the spare room that night, not his old room. That one doesn't exist anymore. Over the next few weeks, he kept his head down. He worked 2 shifts at a local hardware store, brought home receipts, cleaned the kitchen without being told. He didn't call me mom at first, just, hey. But one evening, as I set down a plate of stew on the table, he paused, looked me straight in the eye and said, "I don't deserve you." I didn't answer, just nodded and walked away, because it wasn't about what he deserved. It was about the woman I became when I finally chose myself. He thought I walked away because I was broken, but no. I walked away because I was done being erased. And now, if he wanted to rebuild anything, he'd have to do it brick by brick, in silence, with his hands, not mine. If you're still here, thank you for listening to this story. I know it's not the loud kind of revenge, but maybe the quietest kind hits the deepest. Have you ever had to walk away from someone who never said thank you? Drop A if you've been there, or share your moment in the comments. Someone out there might need to know they're not alone. This was for us, the forgotten ones, the ones who finally chose peace.